Hi guys, my name is Carlos and I am part of a draft league hosted by the Classy Gengar. I will try to link his channel down below so you can check him out. My team and my opponent's team are over here on the right side of the screen. His is the one with Nihilego at the top and mine is the one with Tapu Fini. Going into this match, I wanted something to switch into Choice Spec Boomburst from Xcloud because I have almost nothing that wants to take those except Blissey, so I had to bring that this week. Serenity has enough special defense investment to live 3 Choice Spec Boombursts and 3 Choice Spec Focus Blasts, and enough special attack investment to KO the Ferrothorn, the Fortress with Flamethrower after some chip damage. Next is Saber, the Raikou, with Extra Sensory, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Shadow, and Shadow Ball. I have enough speed to outspeed the Latias, and that's also what the Shadow Ball is for. Extra Sensory KOs the Breloom, and Thunderbolt is pretty good for the rest of his team. Togekiss, Hawlucha, Feraligatr, Gyarados. None of those want to take that. And in case he wants to bring in the Alolan Marowak on one of those Thunderbolt or the Volt Switch, I have Shadow Ball, which 1-hit KOs an offensive variant and 2-hit KOs a specially defensive Alolan Marowak, which is very nice. Next is Excalibur, the Doublade, with Aerial Ace, Shadow Sneak, Iron Head, and Hidden Power Fire. This is to hopefully spin block the Fortress as well as hit it with the HP Fire. With this much, with the investment that I have, I think I do about 40%. Shadow Sneak and Iron Head just for a stab, and Aerial Ace 1-hit KOs the Breloom and 2-hit KOs the Hawlucha. And neither one of those can do much back to Excalibur with the Eviolite and the defensive investment. Next on the team is Majesty, the Nidoqueen, holding the Pasho Berry with Flamethrower, Sludge Wave, Earth Power, and Thunderbolt. The Pasho Berry allows me to live 1 Waterfall from both Gyarados and Feraligatr and allow me to get a Thunderbolt off, KOing the Gyarados and doing a good amount of damage to the Feraligatr. Earth Power is for the Alolan Marowak. Sludge Wave for stab, Flamethrower again for the Fortress. I'm probably over preparing for that, but it could be annoying if I don't take care of it properly. With this amount of speed investment, I think I outspeed Xcloud and everything slower than that, which is very nice. Looking at his team, he has 4 setup sweepers in Feraligatr, Hawlucha, Breloom, and Gyarados, which is why I have Haze, Defog just to remove hazards, Moonblast for stab. I outspeed Breloom by 1 point, and this should do a good amount of damage. And then just Surf for my 4th slot. Last on the team is Frostbite, the Weavile, with Iron Tail, Ice Shard, Icicle Crash, and Knockoff, holding the Steelium Z so we can hit the Sylveon. Actually, the name escapes me, but Iron Tail with Steelium Z 1-hit KOs the Sylveon, so if he thinks he's safe, he's definitely not. Oh, so I can't go in without any attack. Hey guys, I forgot to say it in the last part of the video. but thanks to my friend Charles for helping me team build this week, and also thanks to the Classy Gengar for recording my match. Uh, the corkscrew cache actually worked, Charles, so thanks for that. So right here you can see that my opponent did not bring the fortress, which I obviously overprepared for. He did, however, bring the Marowak, Nihilego, Latios, Silvally for Alligator, and Sylveon. Looking at his team, I expected the Nihilego to lead. I thought it would be his Stealth Rocker. Thinking back, it seems pretty obvious that the Marowak could be a Stealth Rocker. Either way, with that thought process, I decided to lead with the Decidueyes, as he does lead off with the Alolan Marowak. Here, I didn't want to take a Flare Blitz or a Shadow Bone, so I decided to switch out into the Tapu Fini, as he does just go for Stealth Rocks, which is fine. I do have Defog on this Tapu Fini, and I can just try and get some damage off. So I know he's not going to stay in here, and I could have Defog, but I decided to go for damage just so I can start wearing down his team. So I go for Surf on the Silvally, but it's a grass type Silvally, so this does pretty much nothing, and I cannot stay in here next turn. So I switch out into the Blade, and he does go for the workup on my switch. I'm not too worried about it because the Crunch is still a 3-hit KO on the Blade, and I do have Aerial Ace. It wasn't meant for this, but it would work too. So you can see he's gonna go for Crunch, and it does not do enough to 2-hit KO me. My Aerial Ace doesn't do enough either, but 2 Aerial Aces plus a Shadow Sneak are enough to take out this Silvally and leave me with a decent amount of health. So here I am just gonna go for the Shadow Sneak on the Silvally, but as his next switch actually makes me realize that this particular Doublade set is a bit of setup fodder, because there's not much I can do to this for Alligator. But that's what Tapu Fini is for, so I switch into that, as he does go for the Dragon Dance. So he goes for the Dragon Dance, and then next turn he goes for the Earthquake, which I do manage to take just fine. And I get back up to half with my leftovers. This turn I am just gonna Haze, because that's what this Tapu Fini set was for. So you can see there that the Earthquake does not 2-hit KO, and he does show the Life Orb. So here I go for the Haze, and he is gonna switch out next turn, so I took the opportunity to get rid of the rocks. So he switches out into the Latios, and here this next turn I make a misplay. So I go for the Defog, and this next turn I make a misplay by staying in on this Latios. I should have expected it to have something for this Tapu Fini, and should have possibly scouted out with Blissey, but I decided to stay in and Moonblast instead. The problem with this play was that I needed this Tapu Fini to check the Feraligatr and stop it from setting up, and now it can't do that. So you'll see that with that thought process, with that in mind, I go about this match a little differently than I otherwise would have. So here I switch out, and my opponent makes an amazing prediction and goes for the Psyshock on the Blissey, and I cannot take that. So I have to switch out again next turn into the Doublade. So I do switch out into the Doublade as he goes for another Psyshock. I guess packing Pursuit on this would have been a good idea, but I don't have it. So as I mentioned earlier, the Doublade is pretty much setup fodder for alligator. So with this in mind, I switched into the Raikou, expecting the alligator to come in, but instead he brings in Sylveon. Here I make another over prediction. I thought he was going to bring in the Alola Marowak, so I go for Shadow Ball, but he stays in and instead hits me with an HP ground. And he does see that we are life orbed. At this point I know he's not going to bring in the Alola Marowak on the chance that I Shadow Ball again. So I do just go for a Volt Switch to get myself into Blissey, because I know that this Sylveon cannot touch it. He has shown a Hyper Voice and HP ground. I guess he could have had the Psyshock, but it turns out he has Wish, so I assumed his last move was Protect. I am just gonna take this opportunity to set up my rocks, and you'll see just how little the Hyper Voice does to the Blissey. So I think we could have taken 2 more of those, but we don't really need to. So we set up the Stealth Rocks, and this next turn we are going to go for the Soft Boiled. He himself actually goes for another Wish, so the next turn I expected him to either switch out or go for a Protect. So with that in mind, I decided that I really had nothing to lose by going for the Seismic Toss, and the misplay from earlier where I stayed in with the Tapu Fini actually helps me out, because he decides to try and Wish Pass into the Latias as I go for the Seismic Toss, but with the Stealth Rock damage, Seismic Toss does just enough to KO it. So that is one less threat out of the way, and if he had Defog, well, now the rocks are there to stay, thankfully. Here he goes into Lily, and I looked it up and he didn't have Trick or anything to give me choice items, so I decided to just stay in here and see what he wants to do. So he goes for the Psychic, and I know that I can take that, so I go for a Seismic Toss. I didn't want to go for another one because I expected the Alola Marowak to come in, so I switched into the Doublade, but he actually goes into the Feraligatr. Here I was very afraid that he was gonna set up and then just sweep the rest of my team. So what I decide to do is, if he does set up the Dragon Dance, I would come in with the Nidoqueen and bluff the Scarf. But he does choose to just KO the Blade, which is fine. I was trying to sack this anyway so I could come in clean with the Nidoqueen. So here we are going to come in with the Nidoqueen and just fire off a Thunderbolt. What was surprising here was that we outsped, so I guess he was running an Adamant for Alligator, and we just barely missed the kill. So we see the berry do its thing, we take the waterfall, and we are able to KO this next turn with a Sludge Wave. I actually overpredicted the Alola Marowak to come in a lot this match, which is why I went for the Sludge Wave. I didn't want him to try to save this, but I guess there was no point because he would have died to Stealth Rocks on entry. Here I am just gonna go for an Earth Power. There was a chance that if he was specially defensive he would live, but either we got a good roll or he was offensive with rocks. Either way, the Alola Marowak was out. He brings in the Sylveon, which is fine. I'm just gonna hit him with a Sludge Wave, but he switches out into the Nihilego. At this point, I'm pretty certain that this is choiced in some way. So after I go for this Sludge Wave, I'm gonna switch into the Blissey, as there is not much that this Nihilego can do to it. So here he does just go for the Psychic, and I am gonna fire off a Seismic Toss. The thing that I didn't want to happen here with the Blissey was um, I didn't want to KO the Nihilego and then have the Sylveon come in and then just try to Wish Protect or anything like that. I didn't really want the match to go on longer than it needed to. So I do switch out into the Weavile because he is choice into Psychic, so that gives me a free switch. Here I plan to just KO the Nihilego with a knockoff, but he decides to save it and go into the Sylveon, which is fine because we have the Steelium Z just for this. So we knock off the leftovers, and as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be able to get the Corkscrew Crash off, which it felt amazing. Um, I possibly could have gone for the Iron Tail and KO'd, but I didn't want to miss. And also, this is what I planned this is what the Steelium Z was for, so it was nice to get to use it. That's great. So that is it for the Sylveon. When the Nihilego comes back in, it'll take rocks damage, and it will be below 20%, which is the minimum that Ice Shard did. So in case he was Scarfed, I decided to just go for the Ice Shard, which gives us a 5-0 victory on our first week, which is great. Um, Once again, thanks to Charles for helping me team build. And I do believe that my opponent, GarchompDaGod, has his own channel, so I will link that down below. Once again, thank you to the Classy Gengar for recording this match.